Hello and welcome to Unpacking Activities. The activity we're going to unpack today is one sentence at a time. And this activity is a version of collaborative writing. Students work in a circle. Each student starts by writing one sentence. They pass the paper to the next student. They read what the other person wrote. They make any edits if they think they're needed. And then they add one more sentence. They keep going, pass the paper, peer edit, add a sentence, until the paper reaches the student who wrote the first sentence, completing the circle, completing the story. So at the end, if we're working in a group of 4, for example, we would have 4 stories of 4 sentences each. And of course, this is not limited to small groups. You can do bigger groups. You can do one whole class group. And also, you don't have to limit it to one go-around. You can do multiple rounds. Some positive aspects of this activity are related to the fact that it's collaborative writing. The students are engaged in expressing and interpreting meaning. One student's output is another student's input. And it has the potential for the students to turn their attention to form itself. They need to write, and we know from research that when we write, we pay a little closer attention to form. And they also need to read what someone else wrote. When they're doing the peer editing, they might notice some things that need to be changed. That is, focus on form. Communication leads our goals, but if needed, we can adjust our form. On that note, one possible potential pitfall is that peer editing is limited. Students may have limited ability to detect issues, or they might notice that, I don't think this is quite right, but they're not sure what the alternative is, so they let it go. The logistical potential pitfall of this activity is that sometimes there's uneven pace. Some students write faster than others. Some students come up with content faster than others. And so you may have some students who are done and some students who haven't even started writing yet. So what are some possible adjustments we can make? One adjustment to perhaps avoid the uneven pace would be to give them all the same time limit per turn. So you tell them to write as much as you can within X amount of time. Of course, this needs to make sense for what your learners can handle. It could result in some students writing 3 words. It could result in some students writing 3 sentences. But perhaps this is one way in which we can differentiate what each student can do, what they can contribute to the story. Another adjustment that I would recommend is to provide visuals and some vocabulary or useful phrases. You could do one image of a particular situation that is going to inspire the story that they're co-constructing, or you can give a sequence of images, and so the students know where the story is going. This helps them with coming up with content. I also think it's very important to reuse images from your lesson or unit so that the students are already familiar with the image, not just the content, but also the language needed to talk about the image. Then the writing process will go more smoothly. Another possible variation has to do with changing up the turns, what happens with each turn, so that it's not always adding a sentence, adding a sentence, adding a sentence, because some students may get tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. After adding a few sentences, tell them, for example, now replace 2 words. So the students have to reread the whole story, replace 2 words using synonyms, for example. Another turn, now add 1 transition word. Another turn, now incorporate one of these adjectives, and you give them a list and they have to figure out where to add them. All in all, I think one sentence at a time can be a fun activity and also very good pedagogically. It's good to engage with language in writing, and it's good to be co-constructing language. And it's the type of activity that could be adapted to what your learners can handle and the topic you're discussing, your particular unit. It doesn't always have to be a story. You can have them write in 3rd person, in 1st person. It can be co-constructing someone's daily routine, or it could be perhaps telling a news story. So The genre of what they're writing can definitely be changed. It could even be a dialogue if you want. If you have any suggestions or alternatives for one sentence at a time, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time.